Hey guys, welcome back. Well, today I'm going to be taking a look at this little mini drone by Potensic. This is a U36W is the model number on this. This is a little, as you can see, direct drive on these props. It's not geared. Little drone. Has a 720p wide angle, 120 degree angle lens on it. Pretty sharp looking little drone. And it flies pretty good, but one of the main features that they advertise with this, of course, is this has optical flow. As you can see, the very small little pinhole camera on the bottom. This is, of course, this FPV antenna here. This helps it hold position, but it kind of ends up fighting it because with this direct drive motors and the sportiness of this design, the optical flow is always sort of trying to hold position when you're trying to want to fly this thing sort of sporty. It's not really fast. It's actually just mediocre, but I think it'd be a lot quicker if they didn't have the optical flow on this. I'm not a big fan. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not a big fan of the optical flow on this, even though it works fairly well. As I said, it has a 720p camera with a 128 degree wide angle lens. So, it gets a pretty good coverage, and the camera is actually quite good. As you can see, it looks like a pretty decent camera, and it is. But you have a bit of a fisheye effect because of that wide angle lens. And unfortunately, it doesn't record anything locally to an SD card. There's no DVR, no way of recording locally. So you have to record over the air, over the Wi-Fi, I should say, to the app. So you're going to have drop frames, and this is actually a bit laggy. It does drop frames. So unfortunately, the really good camera is negated a bit by the fact that it's dropping frames. But taking pictures is really good, and if you're flying really close to you, the video is actually pretty good on this guy. It has 3 rates, and the yaw does increase with those rates, whenever you're changing them. Like I said, it's a pretty good little flyer. Now, the battery that comes with it is a 350 milliamp per hour 1S LiPo that goes in the back here. Of course, this is proprietary, so it's not going to be easy to just throw any battery in this. You do have to buy this from Potensic, and it snaps in place. And then I can turn on here with the power button is on the top, and you can see it's got sort of the traditional green and red, though I do like the greens in the front, kind of just the opposite of my old CX-20, which had red in the front and I think green in the back. Fairly easy to see them. They're sort of bright, but they are located sort of in close to the body, which makes it a little bit more difficult to see them, but still not too bad. So go ahead and turn that back off. The battery, I didn't get an exact charge time on this battery. It does take a little effort at times to pull it out, but it should be, somewhere in the 45-minute, maybe 30-minute range to charge this up. The charger does come with a sort of proprietary style, it slides in here. I flip it the other way. Charger, it slides into these 4 little pins, and then it charges off your USB. I can't remember. I think the light was red and then it goes out when it's done, but it might have had a green in there. I can't remember now. All the little things when you're doing reviewing like this, it's so difficult to remember every little aspect, but you get the point. Another one of these little standard USB chargers. Now this one comes out of the box with these one-piece prop guards for each side. So it's 2 prop guards you can see that go on here. They go around each one of the motor pods. And I took them off because this is going to, make this thing sort of like sails in the wind. And there's really no need for this flying outdoors, as you'll see in the flight review. But if you're going to fly indoors, I would pop these back on. Otherwise, I'd leave them off. You get more flight time, and it'll be a little bit more sporty, easier to fly outdoors. You also get a full set of extra props. Your standard Phillips screwdriver, which everybody seems to include, and a prop puller to help pull the props off if you need to replace those props. And with it being direct driven, it is pretty quiet. And like I said, that I really like the direct drive drones here that just props spin right on top of the motor. But this one's negated a bit, like I said, because of the optical flow on the bottom of this little guy. The controller is rather plain, but it's also really comfortable. I really like the way your phone sits in. Let me show you. My phone sits in here. Really comfortable. It's so nicely balanced. It's not wanting to tip backwards or anything goofy in my hand. So I really like the way this balances. This is one of the best FPV camera clips I've ever seen on a toy drone. Really nicely designed on this little guy. The rest of it is pretty basic. There's no trim buttons on the front. The trim you push down on the left stick, and I think it'll beep. Then you can trim the direction you need to go. Sort of like how SEMA does it. That's how you trim it up. That can be a little awkward at first, but when you do it, it does allow you to get a little better trimming than having to sit there and push the buttons. Though the traditional button style is probably still a little bit easier to use. Power button on the middle here. Your photo and your video. And this actually does start the video, or it takes a photo on the app. So when you press this to start video, it will turn the icon, I believe, red on the app, and then you know that it's recording video. This is your headless mode, and this is your one key takeoff and landing. Though you do have to do, I think it was down and out or in, I can't remember. I think it was down and out. Starts the props, and then it takes off by pressing the button. It won't fire up the props and take off all in one there. There's no 360 flips on this little guy. So again, pretty basic. Your 3 speed rates are by pressing on your right stick. And that's all it is. I think it takes 3 or 4 AA batteries. So pretty basic. The app that it uses was, I believe it's the Potensic app. Let me see if I can see if it has it's just Potensic. A little bit different. You have your start here, and then you get into it, and of course it's got some instructions on how to connect. Here's your photo and video. You can also start that, and there may be a lot of glare here, guys. You're not going to see it well, but you can also start it with the app, and it's got your basic other things you'll see in most of the FPV apps. But I do like that it has a signal strength meter up here in the upper right hand corner. Lets you know how good your signal is between your controller and the drone, so that's nice. And it does also, this controller has a bit of telemetry like the other Potensic drone I reviewed a while back. It will start to beep when the battery is low. That's really nice. We're seeing that more and more in the toy drones. Some really basic telemetry like that. It also, the app will make your phone vibrate, and you'll feel a vibration through the controller, and then the controller beeping. That's really cool. It lets you know that the batteries are low. The battery is low. It says to calibrate the gyro is just the right stick, down and right, but I don't see it doing anything. I think I had the same problem with the other one. Like, it should make the lights flash, but I just do the right and down, and I've tried both down. It didn't do anything for me. I don't know, but I didn't really need to calibrate the gyro. And if you have that problem, just power the drone off and on, and when it starts up on a level surface, it should calibrate the gyro that way as well. So all right, guys, well, I think that pretty much covers everything here. And the flight time on this, I think, is one other thing I didn't mention. I did not get an exact flight time in my test flight. I was recording the video using the app, and I was going to use the video length for my flight time. It makes it easier. And after about 4 minutes, the video stopped, but the app didn't crash. It was working fine. So I don't know. I know it was over 4 minutes. If I can figure a flight time out, I've already filmed the flight review. I'll go ahead and include that with this video. Excuse me. So that should wrap this review up, guys. So let's go on now outside for that flight review. Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to take in the little Potensic, I think it was a Navigator 2 was its full name. It's a little drone out for its test flight today. I've got the it all connected with the Wi-Fi and bound to the controller. So go ahead and take it up now and let you guys see how this guy works. There's a little lag here in the footage that you expect. It's pretty common, but from my test flight, the footage actually looks really good from the camera. Pretty good 720p here lens with a 120-degree wide-angle lens, so it's pretty nice. So go ahead, I'm going to set it down here on top of my grill here, and I'm going to start recording some footage. Let me step back here so we can see it take off. And we'll go ahead and unlock the props. Leave it down and in, and go ahead and press the auto takeoff in the upper right hand corner. Now this has optical flow, and that kind of counteracts it a bit because it it's with this direct drive props, it's pretty sporty at times, but then it has to try to counteract, you know, the optical flow is counteracting it, and that makes it a little bit, you know, of a nuisance. So let's go ahead here, and I think the right stick does the rates. There's first rate, there's second rate. Let's move it out here a little bit so don't fly into my head. And that's second rate, and here's third rate. So the yaw increases with each rate. There's very little wind today, so it's really good for an optical flow drone. And I'm gonna keep it in the highest rate because I find that to be the most fun. You can see it's not really sporty, but I mean it's okay. But then you look at it, it's trying to correct itself as the optical flow camera is trying to locate his position. So we got some video recording here. Now in my test flight, I was using my camera, you know, recorder to try. I got a bug chasing it. The camera time for the flight time, and I got about 4 minutes and something before for some reason the camera stopped recording. So I'm not exactly sure why that is. There's some breakup here in the video, so I imagine we're gonna have a lot of drop frames in the actual recording you guys are seeing right now. It flew much longer than 4 minutes. I don't know why the camera stopped recording. Maybe I didn't try using the controller here to start recordings, so I don't know if I bumped that and that stopped it. I usually use the app to be safe when you're doing this Wi-Fi recording, but sometimes the controller does actually control that. Lots of times they include that as an option if you are if they have an SD card version of the drone. Yeah, quite a bit of lag. I mean, that's, as we know, on these Wi-Fi FPV drones, it's not uncommon, but some do it quite well, and that's what makes it frustrating. Why can't they all do it well? I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna do an auto landing here in front of my pool, and we'll see if the controller will let me start recording or not. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording with the app. Let's go ahead and press the video button here on the side and see, is that, yes, it makes it red. So now we're recording again, so I like that you can do it through the controller, and that maybe is what happened the other day. Maybe I bumped the button. So let's go ahead. I don't think, yeah, you can't auto take off unless you unlock the props first. Down in, now take off. So I don't know how well the video I'm recording is going to sync up. Pretty much what you usually are seeing in your Wi-Fi FPV is the exact same thing you're seeing in your app. So I imagine we're gonna have quite a few drop frames, and that's gonna cause some sync issues. It's gonna get all out of sync with what I'm actually doing here in real time. So if it's all out of sync, guys, I'll try to sync it the best I can, but that's just because it's dropping frames. We see that when it's dropping frames, or if it's recorded a really oddball frame rate and software can't sync it up. So I'm recording with my head cam at 60 frames per second. Now let's see if it can follow my hand. You can see the optical flow. It's really wanting to find its location. Let's go up here and raise it up a little bit, and we'll see it follow my hand if it will here. It is, see? Let's lower it down a little bit. It's following my hand. So optical flow works pretty good. It's not the best I've ever seen, but it works good enough. It's just really, you know, these optical flow drones are gonna wanna find the location that you let off the sticks, and you may be going pretty quick, and watch how it will kind of fly back, see? It's trying to locate that location there in my yard, and then it'll finally hold it. So it's unfortunate you can't turn that feature off, because to me, I mean, I don't want optical flow on this drone really, because I want to fly it fast, and I can't do that as well because of the optical flow. To trim this drone, you have to use the left stick, and it's kind of like the Siemens do. You press in and then you can trim it. It beeps, I think, and then you press in the stick in the direction it needs to be trimmed. Let's take it up here and see if we can get some footage up here a little higher. Just Just kind of turn it around. The optical flow is not going to work well at that height because that bird's interested, because it's not able to see the ground. It held pretty good position the other day for me when I had it up high, but then as soon as I gave it some stick inputs, I ended up crashing into the neighbors. Well, I'm actually between my house and the neighbors on the ground there, because again, the optical flow camera just gets confused at times. Let's take it up there again a little bit again. There was a bit of a breeze kicking up there. Let's see if it'll hold position. It's going to have difficulty when you get up any higher than that. That's holding position a little bit. These are usually good for maybe 10, 12 feet. I mean, you get up very high, the camera has a hard time seeing the ground. I want to take it up there and try to get you a little bit of footage now, guys. Just see if I can. The wind's kicking up at times, so you see it's moving around. I'm fighting it here with my stick inputs. Yeah, it's not doing very well up there. But again, that's well beyond what the optical flows generally work. So I'm trying to counteract the wind by giving it stick inputs, and it's kicking out this little drum. So in my opinion, this thing would be better if it didn't have the optical flow. But you can see, I'll put it over here. Once you let off the sticks and let it settle in, we'll see how well it holds position now. Let's take it in a moment. Let's see if it settles in here. It's getting close to my head. Not too bad. It's going to bounce a little bit with the breeze, but not terrible, not the greatest. All right, we're getting a low voltage beep, and what you'll get is the app will make your phone vibrate, and then you'll hear the beeping on your controller, so you know we're at low battery. Don't know exactly how long this flight's been, but it was certainly more than 4 minutes. There's no 360 flips that I can see on this drone, so there's no need to show you guys that. Let's go ahead and we'll land it right here. We'll go ahead and press the auto landing. I'm going to press the video button here and see if that stops it, and it does make the red turn to white, so we should have 2 clips of video stored there. And of course you're going to have this non-stop beeping to talk over, so I'm going to go ahead now and turn the drone off. The power button is here on the top, and then turn off the controller. Of course we're going to lose contact with the app's going to lose contact. Overall, this is actually not a bad little guy. I don't really have any big complaints. The optical flow is just not the greatest on this. That's not always that uncommon. It's certainly better than like the WIFi drone I reviewed a few weeks ago. It would just take off and go all over the place. This one's certainly not like that, but it's not as sporty as you'd like it to be, because I'm going to shut the app, close the app here. It keeps vibrating my phone. It's not, it could be rather sporty with these direct drive props if they didn't have this darn optical flow on it. So even someone might like that because the camera's fairly good on this, especially up close where you're not going to drop frames nearly as much. It holds position, fairly good. But I think most people just want to fly this around kind of sporty, maybe not even mess with the camera. So that's why I'd like to see it not have the optical flow camera on the bottom of it. As you can see, I also did take those one piece on each side prop guards off. I forgot to mention that a while ago. That makes this guy fly better. A little bit longer flight time, not very much, but you're not going to have as much wind interference, because every little thing on a drone is going to be affected by the wind. So I recommend taking those prop guards off if you're not going, unless you're going to fly it indoors. All right, guys, well, that wraps up the review of the Potensic Navigator 2. If you're interested in this, I have a purchase link to it on Amazon. I don't remember how much it costs, but overall, a pretty decent little drone. All right, be sure to subscribe, guys, to the channel. Appreciate all the subscriptions. Click the bell so you do know when I do upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a great day.
The power of the dark side.